1 Samuel chapter 18. Because I want to get a narrative here, and this is very important, the narrative. Because I'm going to... First Samuel 18, honey, that's all right. I'm going to attach what is the biblical precedent, and I'm going to tie it to Northland. Don't be afraid of the cameras. My messages go worldwide. Leaders throughout the world watch. And by the way, if I may say, even before I kick this into here, there's a lot of people supporting what's happening in Northland. I needed a mixer. See this mixer here? Brand new. So I was in Auckland and I said, I want a mixer. Didn't have to have a committee meeting. Somebody just went and bought a brand new one. Why? For Northland. And that's how it should be. You know what I'm trying to say? I have preachers that are known and they're contacting me. And they're saying to me, I'm from Northland. I'm from up there. And I didn't even know anything about it. And you know, they are cheering this on. There are ones who are cheering this on even tonight, and they may not be here, but I'm going to throw this in. There are ones that are in the invisible realm, and they're cheering it on. It's called a cloud of witnesses. They are cheering this on, and I'll tell you why they're cheering it on. They're cheering it on because we're going to see a fulfillment of many of the promises that were made in this area of Northland. We're going to see a fulfillment of it. You want to ask what currency is all about? I'll tell you what currency is all about in God. The greatest currency that God can give is His promises. Now just hold that line of thought. And you may be thinking, well, hold it a sec. How does that fit? Jesus fulfilled every promise. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, the government shall be upon his shoulder, his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace. He was wounded for our transgression, he was bruised for our iniquities, the chastisement of our peace was laid upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. If I do a haka up here, don't get offended. It's just how I am. My DNA. My tupinas used to do hakas all the time. And I do a haka. I was in Australia because they love me over there. I don't know, they must be hard up. and so when I was over in Australia, and I was in there doing my po te whenua haka. And right in Australia, they loved it. Because it's a Christian haka. It's about striking the ground. And the ground got struck when his blood was shed. If you know anything about venue, I'm going to teach a lot of things here. I thank God for this venue. I feel good here. But by the way, the promised land's on the other side. And just wait, give me a month, we'll be over there. You believe it? I'm a man of vision. I wouldn't be standing here tonight if I didn't believe God wanted to do a new thing in this area. I wouldn't even waste my time. I wouldn't hop on a bus at 7:30 a.m. when it's my birthday and I should be in Tamaki Makoto. But do you know what? My wife is glad to see me preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. And you know, my daughter did a thing on Facebook for me. She said, you're the greatest dad I've ever had. She said, you're 100%. She said, my children have a papa that's a poropiti. And they're very happy about it because it's in their genes. You know, my son that should be in prison today, he was supposed to do an 8-year leg. So there is hope for you mums that are believing for that scallywag son. And I just about gave up on him. And I know some of you are saying amen. Come on, be real here. He was supposed to be in prison for 8 years. He did a bad crime. Iwatua spoke to me and he said, I'm going to place a gift on your son for working with young people. And I thought, but he's not a Christian. And he's been a bad boy. But he said, he's your son. That's Father's Day. When you get a dad that walks with God, it will have influence all the way through. Do you understand? That's the... And I'll be straight with you. Okay. I couldn't boast about what my father was up to. Why? Because he was a bit of more of a drunkard, womanizer, and woman beater. That was his legacy. So I decided to bring a demarcation. And I said, my children are going to be brought up in the ways of the Lord. But they did go off at one part. But you know, today, my son is working with young people, and today he goes to church. And at one part there, he was living in a manse, and I said to him, gee, we're both working for God now, aren't we? He's supposed to be in prison. He ain't. And he's walking free today. And you know, this is how it works. Sometimes to overcome bad habits, we just need good ones. And that's just how it works. But you see, he's got a reservoir that he can draw from. And that reservoir is his father and mother are born again of the Spirit of God. Yes, we are tongue talking. We don't apologize for that. And we are demon casting. Actually, we believe in gifts of the Spirit. We believe in healing. We believe in all those dimensions that Iwatua is all about. Why? Because my God is a supernatural God. That's why. What's happened to the church? We've become so programmed. Everything's prim and proper. You know what I'm saying? We've got to change that. I mean it. Iwatua sometimes knocks on the door of the church and he said, can I come in today? No, we got the notices. Well, blow your stupid notices. You know what I'm trying to say? We've got to have the liberty to allow them to move in this place. You've got to have some gonads and kaha when you've got to be a powerhouse for Iwatua. You've got to lead a generation. You've got to speak from a mountaintop. You've got to be on Mount Zion to take this place by force. If you don't take this place by force, Hatana will have a field day. And Ngāpoi, well, he's got a match on his hands today because I'm here with my haka. I'm here to mean business. Yes, I mean business. And tomorrow, I said to Peter, tomorrow I've got to walk down Kaikoi. I've got to walk around here because I'm the new mayor of Kaikoi. Get used to this face. I'll put a smile, I'll put some makeup on if you want. I'll do anything, just get used to it. We can make a change in this area. We can alter things. We can break things. We can make a difference. I've got to tell you, the ihi of Ngāpui is very powerful. Tie it to the purposes of Iwatua and you can change everything. And that's what it's all about. I was brought in for this hour. So we are going to 1 Samuel 18. Hey, let's give a clap to the person that bought that mixer. Yeah. Come on, just give it. I don't even know who it was. I don't even know. All as I said to my people, I said, I want a new mixer for Northland. It's gone. Got. Didn't even think twice. I know what they cost. They're about $700. I mean, listen to the quality. We only got one speaker. And then I said, I need some equipment sent up there. So my son and one of his other mates, and he's done a few legs, they brought the equipment up. And I said, when you're up there, pick some oranges. Across the road from Peter's place. And so they picked some oranges. I said, bring them home. You see what I mean? People are cheering on what's happening here. Hey, everything's got to start in seed form. Yes. Your vision has to be bigger than your bad habits. Yes. Your vision has to be able to bring transformation. Your vision's got to be at a level that you can make a difference. And it's this generation, it's our tamariki that must be the ones that have got to have hope. The black community had a Martin Luther King. The Māori community need a Rawiri love. Don't worry. I know what you're thinking. Okay, te hei Māori ori, let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 18. Are you a little bit alive? Amen. I'll take a tinge. I'm that hard up. Even a tinge will do. You got to enjoy yourselves. Say Jesus is Lord. Jesus. Say God is good. God is good. Say this is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Hallelujah. So here we go. 1 Samuel chapter 18. Thank you, Jesus. Shape your makatakale. Whoo, shape your heart. How true that is. You are to understand. Okay, let's go to verse 5. Okay, let's go with this narrative. Now, 1 Samuel chapter 18, verse 5, and it said this. So David went out wherever Saul sent him and behaved wisely. Saul set him over the men of war. He was accepted in the sight of all the people and also in the sight of Saul's servants. Now it happened as they were coming home when David was returning from the slaughter of the Philistine, that the woman, now listen to this, that the woman had come out of all the cities of Israel. Listen to this report. They were singing. They were dancing to meet King Saul with tambourines, with joy, and with musical instruments. Verse 7. So the woman sang as they danced and said, Saul has slain his thousands and David his tens of thousands. Say thousands. Say tens of thousands. There's a lot of difference with tens of thousands and thousands. Then Saul was very angry. He was hoha, and the saying displeased him, and he said, they have ascribed to David 10,000s, and to me they have ascribed only thousands. Now, what more can he have but the kingdom? Saul eyed him. Okay, I'm going to preach to you the truth. I was there when one of our best Māori evangelists, I was at his tangi. He spent a lot of time here. His name was Moody Thompson. When I was at his tangi at Papakuta, I've never been to a tangi like it. Māori preachers came from all over Aotearoa to that tangi. It was very powerful. They would stand up, they'd all do their kōrero. It was unique, and I was like, because I love history, I was listening to history. They're talking about all the different reports that they had done with Moody. I was there. Another Māori evangelist, his name was Bob Kingi. I was at his urupa when they were burying him. And I mean, I understand. I know where my limitations are, where I have to monitor. And when I go on to the marae, I just, our kaumātua, you respect them. So when I was at the urupa, and this literally happened at Bob Kingi's burial. All the mātuas, they had said their bit and they had done their thing, and so they're the bazookas. Poof! They all stood up and they said, who's going to fill this man's shoes? That was their kōrero. Who's going to fill his shoes? This man died not seeing a move amidst the Māori people. Who's going to fill his shoes? And I think he was connected to the apostolic denomination. Is that fire? Is true fire? What's his wife's name, honey? Not sure. Yeah. No, well, she was an apostolic pastor. I know that from in Wellington there. And so, okay, that happened. I waited and waited till there was hardly anyone around, and I went up. I looked down and I said, Moses is dead. Joshua will take them into the land of promise. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon me. At that point, mostly everyone had left, came upon me. And it was very powerful, and I started to speak this out. That generation were important. In the Pipeta Tapu, in the Bible, this is how it is. In the Old Testament, your merit and was measured according to your valor. So if you were trickle of a turkey, you are. If you could only kill one Philistine, you are. But if you could kill 100, you were looked upon with great respect. So it was all measurable, no different to our. We understand this. It's part of our history too. This has happened with our own people. And so David had a unique skill in warfare. He had a unique skill. I wondered about it, and I said to you, what was it? He said, I gave him an edge. And his edge was this. If his enemy was going to come in like that, which we'd call in the New Testament discerning of spirits. But they didn't have it then. No, Taiho there. I'm not going to say that. This is what would happen, because he's fighting an enemy. And when you're dealing with an enemy, you've got to be able to discern the spirits. You've got to know what the taniwha is. You've got to know what you're dealing with. But this is what would happen. If the enemy went in on the right, he would have a discernment to know which way he was about to move his next movement. And then all he had to do was one down. His next one would come along and he'd know his next movement before he hit. This is where it has to be. A lot of times we find ourselves in a position that it's only after the event that you get hoha. And you say to yourself, why didn't I know that? We've got to get to the place where we can pick up what's about to take place before it takes place. Why? So then we can be the head and not the tail, so that we can be above and not beneath. You understand what I'm trying to say? You've got to understand some of this stuff. You've got to have an edge. You've got to have an edge. And so that was his skill. But because he had that skill, in order to get a missus from Saul, he had to come back with 100 foreskins of the Philistines. I mean, that's not a very nice dowry, is it? Can you imagine it? He has to cut off all these foreskins and bring 100 of them to Saul. He comes back with 200. Everything that Saul asked him to do, he did with good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Why? Because he was at another level of authority. You got to capture this. I'm speaking prophetically tonight. He was at a different level of authority. So when he got asked to bring 100, he brought 200. When he went into an area, you know, Jerusalem that we know today, that used to be owned by the Philistines. But he was able to take and capture that real estate. Why is that real estate so important? Because tied to that real estate is promises of the forefathers. And when you have the Tupaners have promises made to them, then that land is not just land. It means a lot to them. Israel trace their legacy to David. They do not trace their legacy to Saul. Yes, Saul was great. He could kill thousands. I mean, killing thousands to me is pretty good. The category of men that I was brought up under when I came to know Jesus Christ, that we used to kill thousands. the technology that we used to employ in terms of going into spiritual warfare, well, we did it according to what we knew. Now I teach what is called vibration warfare. Now I teach what is called stealth mode. Now I train up leaders. Dear God. That's what I do today. But that generation, the generation that I went, why did I go to their Urupa? Why did I go to their Tongis? Because I knew I wasn't of that generation. I knew that I was of this generation. Turn to somebody and say, we're all part of this generation. Come on, turn to somebody and say it. You got to hear what I'm saying here. I'm going to tie this to Ngāpui. I'm going to tie this to Northland. You're going to capture this. I can't even hit this pulpit. Break on me. That's okay. I'll just do a haka. So the thing about it is this. David was important to the entire heritage and legacy and the whakapapa of Israel. And this is the powerful thing. What does the power of an example have upon people's lives? I'll throw this in there. Share this. Write it down if you want. It's good to come to my meetings with pen and paper because I bring content. I'm not one of these sugar-coated preachers. I leave that to the pretty boys. I bring pork bones and puha. You're guaranteed to get a good kai when I'm around. I mean it. I'm not going to give you a wheat bits. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to bring you puha and pork bones. Now listen to this. They needed David. They needed him. A Philistine by the name of Goliath came along and he started to gloat against Israel. He was staunch. He was no different to a terrorist of today. He would feed off fear and intimidation. God has not given you a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a soundness of mind. Amen. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so. And so what would happen is this. David, who wasn't in the army at that time, only went there to go and, because his dad said to him, take some provision to your brothers. He goes over there and then he hears this uncircumcised Philistine. And all the others, they didn't know what to do. And David said, who's this uncircumcised Philistine? Saul heard about this report. And he said, who's that? Find out who it is. And his brother said, get on, you little scallywag. He's a little punk. He said, get on. Get on. That's what his brother said. His elder brother said that. When he heard Goliath, purpose started to rise up in him. The generation that Iwatu is rising up today, they're going to have purpose. And by the way, you don't have to be in masculinity. You can be in femininity and still have kaha. God is not just raising up men, he's raising up women. They talk about man up, well, I want to talk about woman up. Well, that's legacy now, isn't it? Tihei Mauri Ora. And I can say that now because why? Because we're in a time when things are shifting in the realm of the Spirit. We don't have a lot of time. We've got to be at that point now where we're at a climax in Him. We've got to start hitting these things very hard. If If you don't go on the offensive, then you'll find yourself going on the defensive. So something's got to happen. David was the answer for Israel. Purpose rose up in him, and it came up like this. And he said, who is that uncircumcised Philistine? And he said in himself, I'll take him out. Saul, at that time, all the others were chicken-liver turkeys. Not one of them wanted to take him out. Let me say this. You can't do it in might, neither can you do it in power. You can only do it in the Spirit of the Lord. And this is what happened with King David at that time. Well, he wasn't King David, he was David, the boy, the shepherd boy. Hold on to that, shepherd. The shepherd boy. So what took place is that in the end, Saul says, bring him to me. Saul goes to place his armor on him, but it didn't suit. Sometimes they try and place Saul's armor on you, but it doesn't suit. You're going to find your own autonomy in Jesus Christ. We're not here to lord it over you. We're here to encourage you, build you up, get you stronger in the things of God. I deal with leadership all over the world. I deal with prophetesses in other countries. I mentor them. I speak into them. Why? Because I understand they have their own individuality. I don't want to deprive them of their autonomy. I want them to find out who they are. And you've got to understand you've all got your own fingerprint. You've all got your own individuality. And this is what happened. He tried putting his armor on and said, don't fit. So then he took that which he knew, and it was a sling and a stone. He'd take a sling. But you've got to understand this. David didn't wait till his enemy came to him. He went running to him. He went towards him. He went running to him. And this is what he did. He took that sling with the stone and he shoo. Now what took place? Now I want you to understand this. If David's stone had hit Goliath in the knee, Goliath would have had a sore knee. But he would have kept going forward. If he had hit him in the shoulder, he would have had a shoulder, but he would have kept going forward. He had enough strength to take out this puny little David with a sore leg, with a sore arm. God knew that. So he took the first stone. If he didn't get it on that first stone, then he would find himself being at the mercy of Goliath. He had to get him on the first stone. One thing that you learn, and you go into this realm of the Spirit, you learn how to get accuracy. So that when you take the first stone, you can take out your enemy. Are you a little bit alive? I mean, fake it if you have to. Come on, think about it. He had to learn accuracy. He took that first stone and went and hit him. And that first stone hurt Goliath right where it hurt. Probably hit his temple. Might have hit somewhere else, you know. But what we do know is this. He came down. Say he came down. You understand what I'm saying? Say giant and poo-ha. That's right. Get the pork bones ready. Get the giant bones ready. He brought him down, but he had to get him on the first stone. The generation I was brought up on struggled. You know what I'm saying, Fire? That leadership had it awkward. They would find themselves often being at the mercy of their circumstances rather than being in charge of their circumstances. They'd find themselves being at the defensive rather than being at the offensive. They found themselves having to be submitted to the whims of individuals and their opinions rather than having command and being able to be in a frequency of leading. That was the generation that I would say, kia ora. But you see, we're now in the tens of thousand generation. Say tens of thousand. Say David generation. Now it sounds better in Māori. Rawiri generation. Woo, I had to throw that in. It was just coming in there, you know what I'm trying to say. This is the beauty about it. That's the answer. You may say, what do I intend to do here? No different to what Iwatu intends to do. He wants a Davidic generation right here in Northland. He wants a Davidic generation. Why? Because this is how it really is. He's going to take the DNA of what is known as David. He's going to take that DNA and he's going to use it and tie it to what we're doing as a people here. I mean, it just fits. You don't have to be Māori to fit in with this. You can be Pākehā, you can be Fijian. I mean, Bula Panaka, Takalupa Lahi Atu, Talupa, Kia ora, Tamea, anything. It doesn't matter, but you have to get that DNA. I love the DNA of David because I carry it. I understand the DNA of David and what he is to this day. A person's example lives beyond the grave. Write that down. It exceeds the grave. So it's like this. You may say, what's legacy all about? It's when your example is going to be passed on to the next generation. It's when they're going to walk in your footsteps. It's when you're going to influence this generation. Now, this is how it really is. He is a shepherd. In Isaiah chapter 55, it said this: He is a commander and he is a leader. A Davidic generation is going to be different from some of what you've known as leadership in the past. I took all that leadership, but I want to tell you now, we've got a Davidic leadership that's coming through right now in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. You've got to capture this. Why? Because we're going to have to kill tens of thousands. Are you a little bit alive on this? Think about it. We're going to kill tens of thousands. What did Iwatu tell me? He said, tell them in Northland, I'm raising up a different type of shepherd. I'm going to raise up a shepherd that's going to be no different to David, that's going to be able to bring down tens of thousands. I'm going to raise up a shepherd that's going to be a true leader, a true commander, one who's going to lead by example. Say by example. By example. Humility is a powerful force when you use it. Very powerful force. That's the difference today. So we're in the David generation. So that's what Iwatu wants to do. And here I am in this our beginning of services. You can see what they're going to be like. They get worse as they go along. They get more lively. We start getting more energy. One thing that you'll find with me, I teach stuff that, boy, you don't have to worry about listening to T.D. Jakes, you just listen to me. The stuff I'll teach has got content to it. You don't get this by watching Women's Weekly or Days of Our Lives. You get this if you dig deep into Him. If you build your life on Him. You see, I had an addictive character, I still have, but it was worse then. So I had to be, when I came to the Lord, I had to get so deep into Him. Otherwise, my addictions of the past would get the better of me. That was the only way I was going to make it. So when I got born again, you didn't have to tell me to go to Bible study, I wanted to go. You didn't have to tell me, you understand what I'm talking about? I just did those things. Why? Because it was important. Because I had to get my inward man. Say inward man. Now you may say, where is David? I'll tell you where he is. He's on the inward man, not the outward man. Your inward man needs to be stronger than your outward man. Your outward man, I'll tell you what's going to happen with your outward man. The outward man perisheth. It gets grey hair. It gets wrinkles. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't perform like it used to. Why? Because it's an outward man. The inward man is getting stronger. It's building up strength, and you've got to build up your inward man so that your inward man starts to dominate your outward man. And when your inward man dominates your outward man, then your inward man becomes in the nature of Jesus Christ. And then when the inward man starts to take control, then you start to become a David in the realm of the Spirit. This is the key of David. He had the ability to bring the ark in. He had the ability to bring the presence in. You say, how do you know David? By the presence. I'll throw this in. Kia ora, those of you that are watching that are men of God, women of God, leaders. There's a demarcation happening. Saul's time is over. David is coming through.